There are a variety of smartphones available today. Smartphones are no longer just for making phone calls or sending text messages, they can now handle almost any part of your daily life. As a consequence, determining which smartphone is best for you can be challenging. You've already chosen to buy an Android-based computer if you're watching this video, but there are many versions, and versions of this Google app. You should brush up on your Android history before purchasing a new smartphone, or at the very least compare the discrepancies between the most recent two models, Android 10 and Android 11. These names refer to various versions of the Android operating system, each with its own set of features and functions. Android 10 is the most recent Android update available, but not all devices have the distinction of showing it off. Instead of buying a smartphone with outdated versions of Nougat or Marshmallow, I recommend looking for one with Android Pie at the very least, and if you can be assured of an update to the newest and most recent Android edition, that's even better. Personal preference, both in terms of software and physical appearance, is a significant deciding factor when purchasing a new smartphone. Some people prefer rounded lines and a sinuous style, while others prefer a more robust look with straight lines and sharp metal edges. We must accept that, with each passing month and the flurry of industry launch events, smartphones are becoming increasingly similar, and the available options are heavily influenced by marketing strategies and trends. Style, on the other hand, is focused on functionality. A metal unibody is sleek and fashionable, but it can preclude you from using certain features like a microSD card or a headphone jack in some instances. Check the device's accuracy before purchasing to ensure that you'll be able to use it in the most comfortable and easy way possible, provided these elements are important to you. Those who enjoy receiving news alerts or simply getting lost in the HD graphics of the latest Android games should seriously consider a smartphone with at least a 5.7-inch display. A smaller screen would suffice for those who use their smartphone mostly for WhatsApp or reading Facebook messages. In terms of display technology, Android has two options, LCD and AMOLED. The key distinction between the two is the way light is projected. In principle, LCD screens are clearer and better at displaying material in direct sunlight, whereas AMOLED screens have finer contrast and more saturated colors. In reality, however, the distinction between the two is becoming less apparent as time passes and new innovations emerge. However, image resolution in Full HD, Full HD+, or QHD is almost always excellent. The processor is the heart of a computer, and its overall output is determined by it. Software updates are often limited by processor capacity. It's fair to bet on Qualcomm, Kirin, and MediaTek. It should also be remembered that the amount of RAM available is critical for any processor to perform at its best. Yes, the processor is relevant, but we must also consider the smartphone as a whole and its technical specifications. When looking for your next Android, pay attention to the RAM and internal storage, not just what the sticker says. Examine how much room the pre-installed applications consume. While you can increase your smartphone's storage space with a micro SD card, remember that having more internal memory is preferable to using an external card. Simultaneously, consider how much you'll really need when choosing a model with 128GB or 256GB of internal storage. Are you storing movies, songs, files, and heavy apps on your smartphone as an external hard drive for your computer? If the response is no, you'll most likely be fine with 64GB. Not to mention that, as long as you have an internet connection, you can use cloud services to save space while still having access to your files. As a general rule, when considering smartphones on the market, at least 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal memory are recommended. When purchasing a new smartphone, one of the most critical aspects to remember is battery life. Do not be fooled, a higher mAh number does not imply increased battery life or a longer battery lifespan. Different factors come into play, and it's important to understand them. Consider that higher resolution displays use more energy, while the new processors improve battery life. Then there's the issue of display refresh rates and fast charging technology to consider. Rather than relying solely on technical specifications, it's a good idea to read feedback and benchmark results and see how all of these elements work when combined in a single unit. For the time being. At the moment, 4000 mAh seems to be the standard. Recently, smartphone manufacturers have begun to place a greater emphasis on camera quality and features, which is fantastic news for consumers. The number of megapixels, hybrid autofocus, optical stabilization, manual modes, special effects, and special selfie features, smartphones are becoming more and more like a digital camera. Again, I advise you not to get too caught up in the numbers on the technical sheet. The megapixel count alone does not tell the whole story. It's crucial to understand the form of integrated sensor, lens quality, and pixel size. Many of the specifics are detailed in our reviews, but it costs nothing to start the camera app and check the brightness of the shots and software features for yourself once you're in the shop. Again, I recommend that you don't get too wrapped up in the technical sheet's numbers. The megapixel count alone does not tell the whole story. Knowing the type of integrated sensor, the lens quality, and the pixel size is crucial. Many of the details are detailed in our reviews, but once you're in the store, it's free to start the camera app and check the brightness of the shots and software features for yourself. However, don't restrict yourself to selecting a smartphone based on its hardware specifications. Activate the monitor and go through the program in detail to see what secret features it has and whether it has any choices that you can use. Do you often share your computer with your kids? Check to see if you have a guest mode or parental controls activated. Do you enjoy reading ebooks on your Android device? Choose an app that allows you to adjust the display's hue and includes anti-strain eye protection. To summarize, don't be fooled by appearances, thoroughly analyze the scheme. The price is last on our list, but it's probably the most important thing to remember if you're on a tight budget. What are your plans for your next smartphone? Is it worth it to spend your entire paycheck, or is it better to set a budget and choose something less expensive but equally effective and current? Your option is yours, but keep in mind that certain devices are better than others in every price range. So, what features do you seek in a smartphone? Are there any features that can make or break a purchase decision when it comes to a new smartphone?